Hey, Mr. Client, just checking in to see if you read my proposal. Buy my shit or I'll even pay you $1,000 if it doesn't work. You know what? I'm gonna send you a LinkedIn DM. What's up, guys? It's Frankie here. In this video, I'm going to show you the 6 most proven ways to get clients. I've been doing this 20 years. I've only really ever found 6 ways that actually work. I'm going to lay them out for you guys in this video so you can pick the one that best works to you. And a lot of times people come to me and they believe they have to do one of these things when there's actually 5 other ways you could be doing it. And a lot of times one of those 5 other ways actually will work much better for your personality style. Maybe you're more introverted, whatever, but you're going to be doing one of them. And I want to lay it out for you guys, everything that works so that you can pick the one that best fits your personality style. I'm also going to lay out for you guys the ones that I think personally work the best. For those of you guys who don't know me already, my name is Frankie Finn. I wrote this best-selling book on Amazon. I actually have another bestseller now that just came out. We hit #1 in 3 categories. I've built 3 of my agencies over the years to 100 plus clients, and also have helped thousands of people worldwide to live the whole more beach, less laptop lifestyle. Let's get into the good stuff. So how do you actually get clients in the door? Okay, so let's talk about method number 1, numero uno, and that is the old Outbound 1-to-1. That's supposed to be a 1-to-1. There we go. So this is the shit by the way, I get asked the most about, and if you honestly ask me my personal opinion, compared to all the other strategies, this is what I actually think of it.
That is one big pile of shit.
So there's my honest opinion on Outbound 1-to-1. Does it work? Yes, it does, but I'll tell you why I think it's a pile of shit. It's a big grind. So when I say outbound, I mean you're messaging people on LinkedIn or Instagram, or you're sending them a cold email, or you're actually like cold calling them, old school, picking up the phone and calling people that were not expecting your call that day. Does it work? Yes, but I think it's the least energy efficient. And I also think it lowers your perceived status in the eyes of a client, because a heart surgeon doesn't knock on the door to sell you heart surgery. And so it's very hard to convince clients that you're actually an expert and know how to help them if you knocked on the door and they weren't expecting you, right? Like if you do the door, what I call digital door knocking. Nonetheless, it works, and I know how to do it. And for those of you guys who ask me lots of questions, I'm happy to answer questions about it. Now, the second way is the old paid ads. You give the credit card to the ad machine, you put ads in front of the people you want to get in front of. So for a lot of people, that means Facebook ads. I'd probably say about 80-90% of agencies that do it successfully, although we have some people doing Google ads, we have some people doing YouTube ads, and we have some people probably doing as well, I think, Twitter ads as well. X. I can't get around my head around calling it X. But this is another way to get clients, and I think this works much better than the first, but I'm a big believer that paid ads work really, really well when it is time to scale your agency. I find for most people who are starting out in that beginning stages and you're trying to like dial in your offer, all it does is waste money for you. So very, very good when you go to scale an offer, and that's what I like to personally use it for. I'm a big fan of paid ads, but at the right time. In fact, if you get paid ads right, this is how happy you're gonna be.
真的打得不错。这个球飞到了是在左外野方向。This ball is low gun, just like the ex-girlfriend who will never return. Homer!
Who will never return? Best cutscene of all time. That announcer is my new hero. Anyways, let's talk about the third strategy. This is the one that is the hardest for people to do, and you're looking at it right now. This is content. You're looking at our funnel for different things that we do to get people into our audience, to get people into our world. The problem with content, and I'll tell you, is that almost always when you create content, for the first 30 to 90 days, you make nothing. You get paid nothing. In fact, you'll usually put stuff out. The algorithms don't care. Your mom don't care. I remember actually when I published my first stuff in the agency world. Now I'm somewhat mildly internet famous. But when I first began, I actually remember messaging my friend Barnsey, and I said, "Hey Barnsey, can you just like my posts so like at least one person in the world can act like this content is interesting?" And what happens is most people can't understand content has a residual effect. And what that means is at first people have 5 pieces of content to find you. Then there's 10. Then there's 20. And so I have literally thousands of YouTube videos that work round the clock to bring us people without having to chase anybody. And it works all day, every day. That's the power of it. But if you're looking for an instant ROI, this one will make you pull your hair out. Because what happens is it will get people interested in you, but it won't get them all the way to like actually pay you and give you a credit card in the very beginning. And so it'll seem like it's not working. And so I see people start content and give it up way too early. Content works on all kinds of platforms: LinkedIn, Facebook, obviously YouTube. You guys are looking at YouTube right now. If I wasn't a believer in YouTube, wouldn't be doing it. And then, you know, any place you can publish content where your audience goes, whether that's speaking in stage or whatever at the annual conference, it's going to work. Fourth way, get clients. Old-fashioned networking. People laugh at it. But like, if you're in a local U.S. city, you probably got a BNI meeting you could go to right now, have some conversations, pick up some clients. Or you can go to the industry conference or the workshop and actually shake hands with people. It's old school, it's old-fashioned, but it works, okay? So now we're going to get into the 2 that I think are the most advanced. And to be honest, the next one I think is straight up evil genius, and it's what we do personally, and I believe it's the best overall strategy. And I'm going to show you how we do it strategically in just a minute. And it's some Hank Scorpio shit. I think I need to work on my evil laugh like that. Villain laugh. Working on it anyways. So the next thing is what I call audience owners. Okay? So I want you guys to think about this. And this is where it is still a form of content, but what's different is you pursue distribution first. Now, that may not make a lot of sense. So I wrote about this in my second book. Imagine you have 2 farmers, and let's call them A and B. So I gave them the names Andy and Bob, okay? So Andy is a farmer, and he's trying to sell, these are eggs right here. So he's got like a basket of eggs. Looks more like a bowl. Whatever, just pretend it's a carton of eggs, my childish drawing. So Andy gets really good at selling his stuff. He stands by the side of the road every day. He comes up with 2-for-1 eggs, organic, farm fresh, top quality, and he focuses on creating great offers. At the end of the day, Andy is going to sell some eggs, and he focuses on how do I sell my eggs 1-to-1. Now, Bob focuses on distribution. He asks the question, who already has my audience? Who already has my audience of buyers? And Bob comes to the conclusion that if he can get his stuff sold in stores, that he's probably going to sell a lot more eggs, right? Like if Bob gets his eggs sold in Walmart, Bob is going to sell a lot more eggs than if he doesn't do that, right? So if you fast forward 6 months, Bob is selling his stuff 1-to-many. And let's just say they each have one great leap forward each day. Well, let's say Andy sells out of eggs every day, and Bob gets 1 more store to sell his stuff each day. If you fast forward 6 months, who do you think is going to sell more eggs? And I'll tell you the answer to spoiler alert. Bob is going to crush Andy because Bob focuses on finding distribution, in this case, stores. Well, in your niche, there is the equivalent of stores already. And there are 7 different kinds, by the way. There is the expertise, the courses, the consultants, the masterminds. There is somebody publishing information. Somebody has a YouTube channel, a podcast, a book that got released. There are the communities. Somebody has an audience, sometimes on Facebook, sometimes on LinkedIn, sometimes good old-fashioned real life. If you're in an offline niche, there are industry associations. And if, depending on the niche you're in, there's going to be software and tools. The tools look different in different industries. In digital marketing, the tool looks like Go High Level. In a lot of industries, the tools are like the Nailgun 9000. But somebody has an audience of those people and is already selling and distributing stuff to them. There's also like live events. Somebody has a conference. Somebody has a workshop. Somebody has like a retreat, right? And then the last piece of that is there are other people selling services to them. If they're buying Facebook ads from you, they're also buying websites and pay-per-click and things like that and SEO from other people. So rather than chasing people 1-to-1, which is everybody, we still do outbound, but we do outbound to audience owners. And usually, by the way, in most industries, it's about 1 to 200 people that control your entire marketplace and make up 80% of the commerce that's happening. And so what we focus on doing is distributing their stuff and their audience by, again, creating content that's valuable to their audience. And so we're able to do some pretty amazing things. I remember in the restoration space, I had a challenge, by the way, for those of you guys who don't know this. The number one question I got asked over the last 5 years, if you were me, you were starting over and you had to build a brand new agency from scratch and you wanted to get to 10K a month, how would you do it? So I decided after years, I was thinking like, should I make a course? Should I make a training? I was like, you know what? I'll just do it. I will document the process, and whenever anybody asks, I will just send them to that file and they can check out what I actually did. And it was all about this idea. I pursued distribution. And so for me, that meant I went after industry associations. So I did a couple of expert interviews, published a couple articles. I spent less than an hour a week on it. And what ended up happening is we had a magazine article that went front cover and went to 32,000 restoration contractors. I remember I did a little 5-minute expert YouTube interview. It had 5,000 views in the first 24 hours. Again, how long would it take me to get 5,000 contractors to pay attention to me outbound one-to-one? It would take fucking forever. That's like 5,000 phone calls, and half of them wouldn't even answer the phone. So it's more like 10,000 phone calls. And then also, I got invited to speak in Las Vegas on one of the industry stages, got to go in front of hundreds of the contractors there, and just makes life a lot easier when you go after the audience owners. And it comes from this big idea that instead of doing outbound one-to-one, I'm creating content for distribution. And then, therefore, they publish my stuff on LinkedIn. Right? So to me, it's a much more valuable thing. If you're trying to get in front of dentists, don't chase 10,000 dentists one-to-one and give away all your expert status. Get on a podcast with 10,000 dentists, or speak on a stage that's watched by 10,000 dentists, or publish in an industry magazine that's read by 10,000 dentists. So the next piece of the puzzle is what I would call referral partners. So we're just going to write ref, and we're going to write partner there. So referral partners are people who like you and recommend your stuff. And here's the secret. This is why we pursue distribution first. So I'll tell you all the ones that we like to personally use in our funnel. I do not do a ton of face-to-face networking because I like to just hang out with my kids and be at home. I'm a homebody. So even though this works, I don't tend to do a ton of it. Outbound one-to-one works, but I find it just way too energetically efficient. So what we focus on doing is right here is our single first effort is to get our content distributed in front of audience owners. So I would put these 1 and 2 together. So we focus on the audience owners and get content in front of their audience all at once. I publish a magazine article, it gets seen by a lot of people. And then what we do is the best people to make referral partners are audience owners in your industry because they already know everybody, right? Like if I ask the guy who runs the industry association, do you happen to know a restoration contractor? Not only does he know restoration contractors, but he knows literally tens of thousands of them. So if he recommends my stuff, he's going to recommend it to a whole lot of people. So we have a strategy for then turning those people into referral partners. Now, what happens to that content if you get your stuff published in magazines and things like that? Well, that is what we actually turn into paid ads. So if I publish like an expert interview in the industry association and I get 3, 4, 5 clients to reach out, well, then I use that as a paid ad and amplify it. And here's the magic, right, is when you do it this way, and I'll give you guys an example of this in a story, is you get all this borrowed credibility that makes you a real deal expert that you wouldn't get by running your own ads. So my favorite example of this, Justin Brook is a very well-known Facebook ads who's done some stuff on our channel here. By the way, you can find that by searching it. But Justin, when he was brand new and starting out, he reached out to Russell Brunson. Now, this was when Russell Brunson was in the peak of the ClickFunnels fame. Russell Brunson is an audience owner. I sometimes use different names for these, by the way. But Russell, what he used to do is he messaged Russell and said, hey, I have this idea for a retargeting ad. Now, at this time, 12 years ago, retargeting was a pretty new thing. He said, I want to sell your masterminds. I'll do it totally for free. I just ask that if it works, I could mention your name. So he did it, and what happened is Russell then became a referral partner, and they sold a couple of masterminds and started recommending him to his mastermind members. But also, when he goes to run paid ads, how much better do you think his ad is going to work if it says, compare these two ads. Hey, I'm Justin, and I'm a Facebook ads guy. Pick me, choose me, hire me. Versus, let me show you a case study of what we did for Russell Brunson to sell his high-level mastermind. He's going to sell the fuck out because Russell Brunson already has this authority and trust and things like that. Like imagine you did this for Gary Vee or Alex Hormozy or something like that. So there are audience owners in your industry that have credibility. Like in my case, when I do stuff with the industry association, it's like saying, hey, look what I did with Russell Brunson, and they buy our stuff. And then there's an efficiency here, by the way. To compare these strategies, when I was a kid, 13 years old, my first ever job, selling chocolate bars door to door for the blind, outbound 1-to-1. So we spent all day knocking on doors. It was hot as fuck, just like it is today in Mexico. And I'd have this big ass heavy cooler of chocolate, and you'd lug it from house to house, and then you'd knock on the door. And you always got one of three reactions when you did the outbound. The most common reaction is like nobody home or they didn't answer. Sometimes they were home and just didn't want to talk to you. But most often you knock on the door, okay, nobody's home, you take your thing to the next door. The second most common reaction you get is no, and no varies from polite, no thank you, to fuck you! You woke the fucking baby, you cocksucking motherfucker, which now that I'm a parent, I better understand that one. And the third reaction is yes. And I found if you did outbound 1-to-1, after like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day, like you would sell some chocolate. For me, like teenage me, that meant like Blockbuster money, I could go rent games, GoldenEye, of course, Mario Kart, shit like that. And also eat all the candy I wanted. Nobody could tell me I couldn't have candy because I could buy it with my own money. But the problem with that is like it took 6, 7 hours a day of like continuous effort, and there was lots of rejection and lots of doors slammed in your face and lots of just walking and walking and walking and walking and walking. And I felt exhausted by the end of the day. Now, once per month, our manager would go to the local grocery store. We would all drive together. He had a little shitty Geo Metro. And we would get in there and it would be piled high full of kids and chocolate, not enough seatbelts. We broke all the laws. And we get there, he would go to the manager of the grocery store and say, is it okay if we sell our chocolates outside? And they would always say, yeah, go for it. That's cool. And so what would happen is we'd stand outside the main entrances, exits, whatever you want to call them, and there'd be 2 kids at each door. And every 5 seconds, somebody would walk by. Now, back in those days, there weren't even really a lot of people who bought groceries on debit cards and credit cards. Like, people went to the grocery store with cash. So they were hungry, got in the car, cash in their pocket, drove, and we stood in front of them while they were on their way to buying food. Now, what do you think happened when we did that? Well, every single kid was sold out of chocolate, 10 or 15 minutes, every single time. And that to me is like a grocery store is an audience owner, a special kind of audience owner of buyers. So a lot of times people tell me like, hey, I know I need to grow this thing, and they believe they have to do this outbound 1-to-1. And we actually just send like 1 to 5 messages a week to audience owners. They're super simple messages. They're 1 to 3 sentences. And we promise to help their audience in the form of content. And then we amplify those relationships into referral partners and turn it into paid ads. And I would experience this for years and years, that whenever I would go speak on stage in the legal space, you sign 5, 10, 15 clients. Right? And at the beginning I thought I must be such a dynamic speaker and so awesome, because it doesn't suck when all of a sudden you just added 20 grand a month recurring in an hour. Like, that's a good day at the office. But what I started to realize is everybody else in the same place, like all the other speakers, also signed 5, 10, 15 clients, some of them a lot more. That was the reason they were there. And the secret was that we were standing in front of a buying audience, right? Like, the people had bought a plane ticket, they had bought a physical ticket, they paid for hotels and things like that. And they went there specifically to find services and things that would give them an advantage over their competition. So I believe the fastest way to infiltrate any industry is to go after audience owners, not to chase people 1-to-1. Paid ads work, but I think the best paid ads you're ever going to create are saying, look what I did for the audience owners. They tend to have more credibility and things like that. And then the thing that trips people up is this is instantaneous. I can knock on a door and hear no in 5 minutes. This, when I go after an audience owner, like if I go after a podcast owner, I will publish something in a podcast, and I might have to like wait a week to get the interview, and then another week or 2 for them to publish it. It might take 2, 3 weeks before then it goes out to 10,000 dentists. But what I love about that is they do all the distribution for me. They post it on social. Like, I've been on LinkedIn and Apple Podcasts and never actually once signed into those places, right? So that's the magic of doing this way. And this is what I call the Wolfpack way, which is how we like to do it inside of our mastermind. So I hope this gives you guys a powerful alternative to what everybody else says you have to do. And by the way, there's no shame in doing any of these. You can either, but I say this, these are the 6 things that work. You're either going to do some outbound one-to-one, you're going to run some paid ads, you're going to publish content consistently over time. You're going to do some networking face-to-face. You're going to publish content for audience owners, or you're going to create referral partners. If you are going to get clients, you're going to be doing at least one of these 6 things. And I like to use them strategically, as I mentioned, to go after the audience owners, the distribution first, just like Farmer Bob, then focus on creating simple little valuable content that leads into my stuff, turn those people into referral partners, and turn that content into paid ads. And I can do that, by the way, in less than 5 hours a week, right? Because I can actually grow an agency massively by going after distribution. I talk to the egg store owners. I don't have to send a lot of messages. They already need content, so it's very easy to work with them. Unlike this outbound where you're saying, buy my shit, I'm saying, let me give something valuable to your audience. They like it. I develop relationships with those people, and I turn all that stuff into paid ads. And then usually, once we have 10 to 15 of those, we continuously just cycle them as paid ads. Here's the magazine article I wrote. Here's the stage speech I've done. Here's the podcast I was on. Here's the expert interview. And I just continuously run those as ads to our audience, and clients just show up without any chasing, and it's the ads that actually do the work. So I hope that gives you guys some insight into some of the deeper ways of getting clients that don't involve just hounding motherfuckers in their DMs. Not that that doesn't work, or cold calling a million strangers. And if you guys are interested in that, again, you can check out more at the Wolfpack. It's at beyondagencyprofits.com, and there's a link for the Wolfpack. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys in this video. I hope this was super helpful. Much love. May the force be with you. And don't forget to subscribe for the corny dad jokes and huge dad muscles. Hey guys, if you like this video, you may also like my best-selling book here, Beyond the Agency Box. It is all about scaling a digital marketing agency while eliminating meetings and phone calls. We actually sell our stuff phoneless. We don't have any client meetings, and we also hire our team entirely without meeting phone calls, which allows us to, actually kind of live a life. I've laid out the entire blueprint and everything you need to know, getting clients, onboarding, setting expectations, scaling, building a team, you name it. It has been a bestseller on Amazon now for over 5 straight years, but now you can get it even cheaper than you can get it on Amazon. So I can't tell you the exact price because it may change when this video is released, but there should be a link to it below, either in the description of the video or as well as a pinned comment. So if you're interested in that, check out that video, and you can get a copy for super cheap.